What's up, Cowboys Nation? It's time to get into this offseason, get it in gear, break down some free agency for the Cowboys in 2018. And this most likely will be dropping in a series format, so be looking forward episode to episode, breaking down each Cowboy currently going into the offseason without a contract. So breaking down this year's pending free agents, I had to bring myself in a guru, the game time guru, Shane Larson. What's up, Shane?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you letting me join you today.
Hey, man, the pleasure is all Cowboys Nation. It's all Cowboys Nation. Two Cowboys fans. We just want to chop it up, talk some Cowboys free agency.
I'm
Shane,
excited for the show, man. Go for it.
Yeah, man. You run, before we get going on this, I want you to plug your podcast. You run the Game Time Guru podcast. So before we even kick it off, tell the people where they can find it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so I run the Game Time Guru podcast. It's a sports podcast to try to give sports a different lens, let people see sports through a different lens, just give a wide perspective on sports. So I cover all sports, try to interview people from all walks of life that have participated in high school, college, professional sports. And you can find me over on iTunes and pretty much every other platform, but iTunes obviously is the biggest. And you just type in the Game Time Guru with Shane Larson. You'll find my little caricature. It's a little cartoon drawing of myself. And I'd appreciate it if you could subscribe and listen to it. If you're into that stuff, then yeah, we talk a little bit of Cowboys on there too sometimes. So it's good.
Cool. Sports of all kinds, man. I can also put a link on my YouTube channel, so I'll try to do that too on here. But let's get to what we want to talk about. Let's talk about some free agency. First, I want to kick it off with the restricted free agents. So first things first, what the hell is a restricted free agent? A lot of people don't even know the difference. So I wanted to break that down. A restricted free agent is basically any player with an expiring contract who has 3 NFL accrued seasons. And in order to get an accrued season, the player has to be on the 53-man roster for 6 weeks or have been placed on season IR during the regular season. So that's why a player like, say, Rico Gathers, he's restricted because he was placed on IR prior to the season beginning, so he doesn't get an accrued season. He's not going to get a chance at free agency. He's going to be a year behind. But anyway, talking about the free agents, first one up on the list, we have a fullback, Keith Smith. And Shane, what in the hell is a fullback in this day and age in the NFL? Do we need a fullback on this roster? And what do you think of Keith Smith as a Cowboy?
Man, it's a loaded question, but I'm gonna unpackage this for you a little bit in my thoughts. Keith Smith, first off, as a player, is awesome. Okay, like I do like Keith Smith. He's a hard worker. He's great. But the fact is, let's go back to your question here. What is a fullback in today's NFL? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. I mean, some teams use them and some teams don't. And unfortunately, I think with the Cowboys and the way that Dak Prescott plays, I mean, a lot of our stuff is out of the shotgun. Right. We don't do a lot of and we're going to start having to do that a little bit more as well, I think, to allow him to read his progression. So that's going to eliminate the fullback position, or at least the need for one consistently. So, I like Keith Smith's play if he was in that kind of an offense. I just don't see the way the Cowboys offense is going. Me personally, don't think that we need him. I really don't think we need to be re-signing him. I think we could put a tight end in the back if we ever needed to use a fullback and use them to block.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you on this one because Keith Smith, I was looking up the stats on him. He played 129 snaps on offense, but his stat line throughout the entire season, 5 receptions for a grand total of 26 yards. And you don't see him doing any of the lead blocking type of thing. That's just not the way the Cowboys offense is set up. So at this point, Keith Smith, to me, he's basically a special teams player. And you know what? You get your special teams players late in the draft. So I'd stay out of free agency if he wants any kind of money. But the other free agent, restricted free agent we got to talk about is the big one, David Irving. First and foremost, man, our Cowboys Nation, I feel, is pretty split on a player like David Irving. So are you a David Irving fan?
Man, I am a David Irving fan. And here's the thing. I don't get why people can't stand him. We have such a small sample size of David Irving because of, the suspension and all that. And obviously the injuries that he's had. And it's just such a small sample size. But I'm telling you right now, man, this guy, the way that he plays, for one, the suspension, he just fits in right in with the Cowboys culture. And I say that with pride. I don't even care. So there's no shame in that.
I got you.
But yeah, man, I mean, from what we've seen of him, he's awesome. And I truly believe you give him a full camp like we did, and then, you know, he's playing a full season. If he can just put some weight on, this guy can be lethal. And I think he's going to do nothing but help the line. And other teams don't see guys that are 6'7", you know what I mean? That can actually move the way he can move. Like, he's really good, and I think we should keep him.
Right. As a pass rusher, I think this guy has the potential to be a top-notch interior pass rusher. I like what you said about him putting on some weight, because I think he does suffer a bit against the run from what I'm able to see. But the fact that this dude can play 8 games and have 7 sacks, I mean, that's something that's worth taking another look at. As a restricted free agent, basically what you're looking at here is what kind of tender you're going to place on him. If you place a second-round tender, the contract value for that is around $2.7 million, which is, I think, a good deal for Irving. If you're afraid to lose Irving for a second round, you can put a first-round tender on him, but his contract goes up to $3.9. So one last question on Irving. What kind of tender would you suggest the Cowboys put, second round or first round? And that's a difference. Again, second round, $2.7 million. First round, for that protection, is $3.9 million.
Oh, dude, that's a tough one, man. I'm actually going to flip it on you. I want to know what you think. I really want to know what you think on this one.
I'm gonna go with the second round tender. One, I think right now with some of the contracts from Tyrone Crawford, Dez Bryant, they are huge contracts. Right. And the fact that we're going to have to most likely tag DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm going to try to save cap space where I can. So I'll probably say put a second round tender on him. And if some team likes him that much, at the very least, hey, we're getting a second round draft pick. In this day and age, that's a premium. That's a starter. So at least I have that, because I just feel like $4 million is a little rough. I do like Irving a lot, but in a sense, when you think about the money you can save and you think about that second round draft pick, it gets a little enticing to me. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I like that you brought that up, just to touch base on that, because a lot of people, you know, they don't go in depth on thinking of it like that. And obviously a lot of it's going to be based on what happens in the offseason with those other contracts. You mentioned Dez Bryant. We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that could happen, a lot of drama going on. So there could be some stuff that opens up, and we could fit him in there if the price is right. But I'm actually thinking that second round tender would probably be the smartest decision as well. But I'm glad you brought up the money portion. Like, a lot of people, a lot of fans, just the casual fan, may not think about that in depth like that. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think second round for David Irving is the way to go.